Welcome to the second episode of our series. Today, we delve into the aftermath of the 1967 Six-Day War, a significant event that continues to shape the political, social, and economic landscape of the region. In June of 1967, a conflict erupted between Israel and its neighboring states of Egypt, Jordan, and Syria. This war, despite its brevity, left an indelible mark on the region, the echoes of which still resonate today. In just 6 days, the map of the Middle East was redrawn, with Israel seizing control of the Gaza Strip and the West Bank, territories previously under Egyptian and Jordanian rule, respectively. This military occupation signified a drastic shift in the power dynamics of the region. For the Palestinians living in these territories, the war marked the beginning of an occupation that persists to this day. Many were displaced from their homes, their lives uprooted in the chaos of war. In the wake of the Six-Day War, Israeli settlements began to sprout across the occupied territories. These settlements, often erected on hilltops, served as a visual testament to Israel's newfound control. They were and still are considered illegal under international law, yet their growth has been persistent, further entrenching the divide between Israelis and Palestinians. The establishment of these settlements fueled a cycle of tension and conflict, with Palestinians facing restrictions on their movement, access to resources, and their fundamental rights. The war may have lasted for just 6 days, but its aftermath has spanned over half a century, sculpting the contours of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict we see today. The Six-Day War served as a turning point, a moment in history that altered the course of a region. Its impact was not limited to the shifting of borders or the balance of power. It dramatically changed the lives of millions of people, setting in motion a chain of events that continues to reverberate through the decades. This historical event laid the groundwork for many of the issues we see today, but to understand the full impact, let's hear directly from the people living in these territories. Now we arrive in Modi'in Illit, the largest Israeli settlement, where we will hear from settlers about their reasons for living here. Here we find a community of individuals who believe in the significance of this land, tied to their historical and religious heritage. They feel a deep-rooted connection to the soil beneath their feet, seeing their presence as a fulfillment of biblical prophecy. Some express a sense of duty, a mission to reclaim what they consider their ancestral homeland. Yet, the growth of these settlements is not without controversy. The expansion is seen by many international observers as a violation of international law. Palestinians, whose land has often been confiscated for the establishment of these settlements, find their lives deeply impacted. Many have seen their homes demolished, their olive groves uprooted, and their access to essential resources significantly restricted. The scenic beauty of the West Bank, once dotted with olive trees and wheat fields, is now punctuated by the concrete structures of Israeli settlements. The expansion of settlements has also led to a complex network of roads and barriers, designed to connect Israeli settlements while restricting Palestinian movement. This has resulted in a fragmented landscape, where Palestinian towns and villages are often surrounded by settlements and cut off from each other. The simple act of going to school, visiting family, or seeking medical treatment can become a challenging journey for many Palestinians. Despite the hardships, Palestinians continue to resist the occupation and the encroachment of settlements. They plant trees, build schools, and strive to maintain their presence on the land. Their resilience is a testament to their determination to hold on to their homes, their heritage, and their dreams of a peaceful and just future. The expansion of settlements paints a complex picture of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. But what about the city considered holy by 3 major religions? Let's turn our attention to Jerusalem. Jerusalem, a city of immense religious and cultural significance, lies at the heart of this conflict. This ancient city, steeped in history and spirituality, is a symbol of faith for 3 of the world's major religions: Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. Each has profound connections to Jerusalem, each claims a piece of its sacred landscape, and each sees its future intertwined with the city's fate. To Jews, Jerusalem is the city of King David, the location of the ancient Jewish temples and the spiritual epicenter of their faith. Christians revere it as the city of Christ's crucifixion and resurrection, while Muslims regard it as the site of Prophet Muhammad's ascension to heaven. But beyond its religious importance, Jerusalem is also a city of people, a mosaic of communities living side by side yet worlds apart. East Jerusalem, in particular, is home to a large Palestinian population. These residents, however, face a daily reality of discrimination and dispossession, a stark contrast to the city's harmonious image often depicted in religious texts. Israel's policies in Jerusalem are controversial, to say the least. The government's stance to maintain a Jewish majority in the city has led to a series of policies that Palestinians argue amount to a form of demographic manipulation. This includes the construction of Jewish settlements in East Jerusalem, the revocation of residency rights for Palestinians, and restrictions on Palestinian construction. These policies, critics argue, have led to an uneven playing field, where one community's growth is encouraged at the expense of another's. The result is a city that is physically united but socially and politically divided. Jerusalem's status adds another layer of complexity to this conflict, yet at its core, this issue revolves around the question of Palestinian self-determination. The struggle for control over Jerusalem is not just about land or sacred sites, but about identity, dignity, and the right of a people to govern their own lives. It's a struggle that encapsulates the larger Israeli-Palestinian conflict, a struggle that continues to this day. The pursuit of self-determination is central to the Palestinian cause. But what does it mean to those living through the conflict? In the heart of this enduring conflict, the term self-determination resonates deeply with Palestinians. It's a concept that intertwines with their hopes, dreams, and aspirations for a future where they can freely decide their own fate. Activists see self-determination as a rallying point, a beacon of hope that unites Palestinians in their struggle for justice and freedom. They envision a world where their identity as Palestinians is recognized, respected, and allowed to flourish unimpeded. Politicians too grapple with this concept, but from a different vantage point. For them, self-determination is a political goal, a cornerstone of a potential Palestinian state. It's a complex issue tied up in negotiations, treaties, and international law. Yet they share the activists' passion and determination, striving to turn this vision into reality. And what about the ordinary Palestinians? For them, self-determination is intensely personal. It's about being able to live their lives without external interference. It's about having control over their land, their resources, their destiny. They yearn for the day when they can live in peace, free from occupation and conflict. But let's not forget the other side of the coin. Israelis too have strong feelings about this issue. It's a topic that stirs up a myriad of viewpoints and indeed highlights the deep divisions within Israeli society. Some Israelis empathize with the Palestinian pursuit of self-determination, acknowledging their right to sovereignty. Others, however, view it as a potential threat to their own security and national identity. This stark divide underscores the complexity of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. It's a testament to the fact that self-determination, while universally recognized as a fundamental human right, is not easily achieved in a region fraught with historical tensions and political complexities. The quest for self-determination underscores the deep divisions within this region, but it's essential to understand the practical daily challenges Palestinians face, particularly regarding movement. Daily life for Palestinians in the occupied territories is marked by numerous checkpoints and movement restrictions. Imagine waking up each day knowing you'll face an intricate maze of barriers and checkpoints just to get to work, school, or a hospital. That's the reality for Palestinians living in these areas. Among the many checkpoints, one stands out as particularly notorious: the Qalandia checkpoint. Qalandia, a name that resonates with frustration, delays, and hardship for Palestinians. The checkpoint, often congested and chaotic, is more than just a physical barrier. It's a symbol of the restrictions that hamper Palestinians' daily lives, limiting their freedom of movement and, by extension, their access to basic rights and services. But the impact of these restrictions goes far beyond just the inconvenience of time. They reach into the very fabric of Palestinian society, disrupting access to education, healthcare, and employment. Imagine a young student, eager to learn, but often late to school or missing days entirely due to checkpoint delays. Or consider a pregnant woman desperate to reach a hospital in time for her delivery, but held up at a checkpoint. Then there's the worker whose job hangs in the balance each day, depending on whether he can navigate the checkpoints in time. These are not isolated incidents, but everyday realities for Palestinians. They are the human stories behind the checkpoints, the faces of those navigating these barriers daily. The restrictions also have broader implications for the economy and development. With limited access to jobs and markets, economic growth is stifled, and the cycle of poverty perpetuated. The reality of checkpoints and restrictions is a stark reminder of the daily struggles under occupation. As we continue this series, we will further explore these and other issues that define the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Imagine living in a town that is bisected by a towering concrete wall. This is the reality for residents of Bethlehem, a town severely impacted by Israel's separation barrier. This barrier, running for hundreds of kilometers, was not constructed overnight. It's a product of a historical context, rooted in decades of conflict and strife. Conceived as a shield to protect Israeli citizens from terror attacks, it has become a stark symbol of division, a concrete embodiment of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. For the people of Bethlehem, this barrier has had profound consequences. It cuts deeply into their lives, isolating communities and restricting access to agricultural lands. A simple trip to visit a relative or to work the fields can become a complicated journey, a daily reminder of a life dissected by concrete and politics. But what does this mean for those living on either side of the barrier? Let's delve into the perspectives of different stakeholders. Our first guest is a well-known Israeli politician, a voice for peace and a two-state solution. This advocate brings to the table a balanced perspective, recognizing the need for security while also acknowledging the profound effect of the barrier on Palestinian communities. They believe that the separation barrier, though a deterrent to terror attacks, has inadvertently become a stumbling block in the peace process. It's a physical manifestation of division, a symbol that stirs emotions and fuels resentment on both sides. They argue that the barrier has deepened the divide, making it harder to foster trust and goodwill necessary for negotiations. What's the way forward then? According to our guest, it lies in dialogue, compromise, and mutual understanding. A viable agreement, they suggest, must balance Israel's security concerns with the Palestinians' aspirations for self-determination. The advocate underscores the need for a solution that respects both sides' historical, cultural, and emotional attachment to the land. A call for peace and negotiation, but how does this translate on the ground? Our expert on settlements has spent years studying their development in the occupied territories. They've delved deep into the heart of this issue, unraveling the complex motivations behind settlement expansion. It's not just about creating living spaces, it's about strategic positioning, about asserting control, about making a statement. The Israeli government plays a significant role in this expansion, providing support and resources, making it possible for these settlements to grow and thrive in disputed territories. It's a delicate balancing act, trying to maintain safety and security while also navigating the international stage. But the impact on Palestinian communities cannot be overlooked. These settlements encroach on their land, disrupt their lives, and restrict access to essential resources. It's a reality that's felt daily, a constant reminder of the conflict that's yet to be resolved, an intricate web of policy and expansion. Yet what are the legal aspects surrounding these issues? A Palestinian human rights lawyer joins us to discuss the legal framework surrounding the occupation. A beacon of hope in the midst of turmoil, this lawyer navigates an intricate labyrinth of laws and regulations to advocate for those directly impacted by the separation barrier. Their experiences run the gamut, from representing clients whose lives are disrupted daily by Israeli policies to challenging the legality of these policies on international platforms. They emphasize the importance of international law, a powerful tool that can be wielded to safeguard the rights of the occupied. They point out how the Fourth Geneva Convention prohibits an occupying power from transferring its own civilian population into the territory it occupies. This, they argue, is directly violated by the expansion of Israeli settlements in the West Bank, yet despite these clear legal guidelines, enforcement remains a challenge. The lawyer laments the lack of accountability, yet remains resolute in their pursuit of justice. Justice seems a distant goal, but there are those who strive for it every day. We speak to a former IDF soldier and a Palestinian activist, two people who have lived this conflict from opposing sides. Our first conversation is with a former soldier who served in the occupied territories. He paints a vivid picture of the moral tightrope walked by those in uniform, balancing duty with a growing unease. He shares tales of tension, fear, and the psychological toll that comes from being part of a prolonged conflict. His story is a testament to the complexities of life on the front lines. We then hear from a Palestinian activist, a beacon of resistance. She tells us of her fight for self-determination, her vision of a free Palestine, and the everyday struggles faced by her community. Her story is one of resilience and unwavering hope, a testament to the human spirit in the face of adversity. Two sides of the same coin, each with their own truths and struggles. This is the reality of Israel's separation barrier. As the voiceover continues, we've heard from the people on the ground, those directly affected by this conflict. But what about you, our viewers? How does this ongoing issue resonate with you? We asked you to share your thoughts, your perspectives, and here's what some of you had to say. A series of comments from our social media platforms start to flash on the screen. Each comment is a reflection of diverse viewpoints, some expressing support for the Israeli side, others for the Palestinians, and many expressing a desire for peace. John from London says, "This conflict is a cycle of violence that has to be broken. We need peace now." Maria from Argentina shares, "The stories are heartbreaking. No one should live in fear." Tom from New York writes, "It's complex, but negotiation and compromise seem to be the only way forward." The voiceover concludes, "Your voices are a reminder that this conflict doesn't just impact those in the region. It's a global issue resonating across borders and cultures. We appreciate your engagement and encourage you to keep the conversation going." Now, the outro begins. Thank you for watching the second part of our series on the Israel-Palestine conflict on the Truth Chronicles. Stay tuned for more in-depth analysis and perspectives. Let's recap what we've covered so far and give you a sneak peek of what's coming up next. There's a brief recap of the series so far, followed by a teaser for the upcoming part. The voiceover ends with a call to action. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the Truth Chronicles for more enlightening content. We appreciate your support and engagement. Until next time, keep seeking the truth.